because we all have Everest in our life, and it could be absolutely anything. But to go and climb Everest, if I did it, and I used to work in hotel, double shift, I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarette, and the only exercise that I used to do is to go clubbing and dance for how many hours and go back to work the next day. So you can do it, if I can do it. Training, of course you need to train. If you want to make the change, you have to start that with yourself.
Okay, I saw you with a suitcase and you've got props and things. Why is that? Why do you use props in your...
Well, I mean, I have the suitcase because I have Everest gear on it. I have a down suit, I have the tents, I have the crampons, the ice packs, I have everything that we use on Everest, and I like always to bring it with me, put it in the stage, show people exactly what we use. It's just it's stuff that people don't see normally, so I like to bring it in. It's part of my talk, so I can explain better as well when I'm telling people, like, you know, this is the suit that I wear when I climb Everest, and it's good for minus 45, and you know, so on.
How do you tell them about the terrain and the things and the creatures and the things you see?
I mean, you know, I tell them my story, and because I'm not a mountaineer. Yes, I'm one of 20 people who finished the Grand Slam of mountaineering and a polar adventure, which is climbing all the 7 summits of the world, skiing the South Pole, North Pole, Greenland. But it was all came in 2004. Without absolutely no background of mountaineering. So I try to relate to people to say, listen, every one of you, any one of you can climb Mount Everest, because we all have Everest in our life, and it could be absolutely anything. But to go and climb Everest, if I did it, and I used to work in hotel, double shift, I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarette, and the only exercise that I used to do is to go clubbing and dance for how many hours and go back to work the next day. So you can do it, if I can do it. Training, of course you need to train. If you want to make the change, you have to start that with yourself, because fitness is very important if you're going to climb any mountain. So fitness is stuff that you want to, if you want to go and climb Everest, let's say, you want to do a 5,000 meter, 6,000, 7 and 8,000 meter. That's your training. That's the technical side that you need to do. The fitness side, you need to make sure your heart rate is under 60. So you need to do lots of training, running, swimming, cycling, whatever exercise you want to do. But you have to be disciplined to do it. So you can't like say, oh, tomorrow I can't get up. You have to do it for you to be able to climb any mountain you want to climb in your life.
In your life. Where did this come from? What were you doing when this occurred to you?
You know what? I was in Edinburgh. I was sleeping. I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was sweating, and I saw myself in the top of the world, and I was praying and calling the azan. That's how it all started. And before that, I had absolutely no experience whatsoever. So my story started in a refugee camp in Jordan, where my mom and dad came from Palestine to seek refuge in Jordan. And that was my upbringing. We always believed that, you know, you have to do better, And my dream was to go to Europe. That was the biggest dream. So when I finished high school, I couldn't go to university because my dad didn't have the money. And I said to myself, I'm going to work. So I worked as a waiter. I kept working for 3 years until I was serving this big table. They were about 15. And this guy asked me, he said, do you want to go to London? I said, I would love to go to London. So I was 20 years old. And he said to me, my brother is the Jordanian ambassador in London, and he's looking for somebody to clean in the house and make coffee. So this is how I started. I went to the ambassador residence. I called myself a butler, but I was a cleaner. But I like the word butler. And I left the ambassador after a year. I worked in the kitchen because I didn't speak any English, but I used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, watching Sesame Street, writing 10 words, 5 sentences, put it in front of me in the sink, and I practice it. After 5 years, I promoted to become a waiter again. And then 7 years later, I saved enough money, because my dream while I was washing these dishes is to become a general manager for a 5-star hotel. So I moved to Scotland after watching Braveheart, and I thought that's the place where I want to go. I found a university called Queen Margaret University. I joined the university. I studied for 4 years. I joined the Sheraton. I became the food and beverage manager. I've moved to Park Lane in London. I became the assistant general manager, back to Scotland, and I had 2 years to become a general manager so I can travel the world. And this is where the dream came, and I dreamt I was in the top of the world praying for peace and praying, calling the azan. Before that, I had absolutely no experience in mountaineering. I've never stepped in a sleeping bag. So that.
And how old were you?
34.
Would you call that a vision?
It's definitely a vision. Definitely a vision. I took it very seriously, very, very seriously, because I thought this is not just a dream. This is something is telling me that there is something better. And I think, passion for me always been, I always passionate about everything I do, even when I was working as a waiter or cleaning at the Jordanian ambassador or doing everything that I used to do. And I think I knew my passion is to help people, because the reason I went to London, to help myself to educate, but to help my family and keep my brother and sister at school. So I used to send 50% of my wages to my dad to keep my brother and sister at school. But I always wanted to do that help. So when that came, I knew the passion wasn't just climbing a mountain. It was more than that. And, the story goes on. After I went to Everest the first time in 2005, I couldn't make it. I went back again, trained, went back in 2007. I didn't make it, went back again in 2008. I summited. When I came back, I was knighted by His Majesty. I got the knighthood, and I told them I would love to do a master's degree in outdoor education studies. So I went back to Edinburgh University. I did outdoor education, and then I started climbing to finish the 7th summit. So I climbed all the 7 summits of the world. I learned how to ski. I went to the South Pole for 65 days, North Pole for 45 days, to Greenland for 40 days. I did all this, and then I came to my point that I have to write the book. So Bloomsbury asked me to write my book. So I wrote Dreams of a Refugee. And then I wrote 2 children books. And then lately I bought another book called رحلة الصعود والارتقاء. It's a spiritual journey on the mountain. So, but the biggest things, the passion is to help people. So I started an initiative called From the Lowest to the Highest, because in Jordan we have the lowest point. And from 2013, after visiting King Hussein Cancer Center, and I saw the kids who suffer from cancer, and I thought to myself, I really want to do something. And this is where the whole thing started. 2013, my first climb for cause. We are at 2025. I just came back from Kilimanjaro. I managed until now to fundraise $7.5 million for charity, and taken the first man in a wheelchair, the first blind man up to, took the Emirati woman to go and climb the mountain. So that the passion is to help other people. And it's not being the first Arab and Muslim to do what I did. That's not my achievement. My biggest achievement is to help other people. So, and that's maybe, this is my destiny. And that's why that dream, that vision came to me.
How do you go from that vision to your first step, to the second step? Because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But listen, if you follow your heart in your life, throughout your life, if you just follow your heart, nothing else, let your mind do the work. Go and educate yourself about what you're going to do. You can go so far. If you're going to keep following your mind, you're not going to go anywhere. You might be safe in your little bubble, and you're saving, you're doing this, you're not taking any risk, but you're going to stay where you are. And one day you're going to sit in the couch and you think, you know what, really regret not doing this, really regret not doing that. But when you follow your heart, you go into there is, there is so much things gonna go wrong when you follow your heart, and you're gonna lose people. along the way. Yeah, you're gonna sacrifice, but these are the people who's not supposed to be in your life anyway.
What do you mean lose people? Why?
I mean, people who doesn't understand what you're doing. So therefore, they think what you're doing is not. But when they met you, and or the people who were around you, and and they think, oh my God, that's great what you're doing. And when when you meet these people and stay with them, and you think, okay. I am going to keep doing what I'm doing because I didn't change. If you think that I'm going to change because I am in this circle, I'm not going to change.
Do you mean kind of like you've met people you're a certain person and then you're striving and they don't like it?
They don't like it.
How does that play out? Like you can just
maybe
feel.
Jealousy, maybe. Yeah, you can feel
tough.
stuff. It's but it doesn't mean there is beautiful things I've listened to. I can't remember who said it. It's about, there is 4 seasons in a year. And there is, people who come in 1 season to you, 2 seasons, 3, and people will stay in 4 seasons all your life. That's the people you want. It might be few people, but that's what's important. The other one, it doesn't, they came and gone because they had a purpose in your life, and then they disappear. So you don't need to cling on them. You just need to move, forward. Just do what you think is right. If people doesn't like it, well, it's up to them.
Were you forming the plan to do all 7 summits as you went, or was that the goal from the beginning?
Listen, all came on the point. So when I came into Montreal, I had no idea of something called the 7 Summit or a Grand Slam. I had no idea. I don't know anything about Kilimanjaro. But you start learning from the people that you climb with. And, I went with a beautiful, amazing company called Alpine Ascent. It's an American company based in Seattle. And I loved mountaineering through them because, I had great guides that I've learned from, and they helped me in a way. And each one I meet in a way, either a climber or a guide, helped me in a way. I become who I become and start being a mountain guide and leader because I've learned all this on a way. So you learn it in a way, so you take it. And I love learning things. I love listening to somebody who I can learn from. And that really helped me to understand what is the 7 Summit. And then I thought, what, this is great. 7 Summit. There were then no Arab or no Muslim doing it. I thought, maybe I can do it. And then I can inspire the Arab region to do it. And now I meet people every day. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I climbed this. When I've studied at school, I've learned about your story, and I decided I want to climb Kilimanjaro or Everest, and that's make me really, really happy because I'm thinking, when I go to school and I do a talk for 300 kids, if I can change one single kid or inspire one kid, that is the biggest achievement for me. So you don't stand and you think you want to inspire everyone. No, one person who can make that change, and you did good. So.
Do you get funny questions when you talk to the kids?
Yeah, at school.
What do they say?
Like I was recently, I have 5 kids, so I have four boys and a girl. And I did it for my boy who was then 6 years old. And I was doing something about the South Pole when I was at South Pole. And there were, I encountered a polar bear. So I have some pictures with the polar bear. And then one of the kids say to me, so are you going to die from the polar bear? Is he going to eat you? And my son, he stand up. I said, Daddy doesn't die. He's the hero. So that was, but all the funny question from the kids. How do you go to the toilet?
Yeah.
How do you clean yourself? What do you eat? Do you eat snakes? So that's, did you see a Yeti or not? Did you, so the best question is from kids. But you know what? The most valuable question that I get is from the refugee camps. When I go to refugee camps, like when I used to go to the Syrian refugee camp in Turkey or in Jordan, the questions are amazing. The questions are more of, it's how do I change where I am now? Yeah. And it's amazing because I always say, listen, I came from a place, it was, you are much better than the situation I was in. And look what I did. You can do absolutely anything you can do. But you have to believe that what you're doing is going to make the change of the people that you are with. So this is where it's going to take you too long. It's not you're going to do that achievement for you. It's not about ego and, it's I want to feed my ego. I want to do this stuff. Because every time I do some talks and my wife says, why are you preparing? I said, she said, well, you're talking about yourself anyway, because you love talking about yourself. So I don't love to talk about myself. I'm just telling my story. But no, I like to, it depends what the audience, and I like to get the message to what the audience. So we are here in SEF, and it's all about entrepreneurship. It's about people who wanted to start their businesses and stuff. So my big message was to anybody who's starting anything, they need three things. Is that the passion, they need the knowledge, and they need the right people around them. That's it. That's what you really need. But you have to have the passion from the heart, because if you believe this project that you're going to do, it's going to be a big project, and you believe it so much, and you have no doubt whatsoever, even if everyone around you have a doubt, then you're going to go and do it. But if you have a slight doubt, you're not going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to convince anybody around you to do it. So, you have to believe it. But to believe it as well, you need the knowledge. I always say education is the most important. That's why when I finished high school, I was disappointed I wasn't going to university. But I said to myself, you know what? I will go to university. And in the beginning, I wanted to study something completely different, philosophy and psychology. But when I was washing these dishes and, cutting all this onion and stuff, and I thought, I want to be a general manager for a 5-star hotel, so I can sit in the office, go down in the restaurant, eat, and tell people what to do. And this is where my life changed, from psychology to study, to go into the kitchen, to study hospitality, to become a general manager, and then to run a company that help people to achieve their dreams.
It sounds, everyone talks about manifestation now. That's a big word, right? Like The Secret. And I like TikTok, and you see a lot of videos of how to manifest everything. But it sounds like what you're saying is you do that. You just believe. You believe in it.
100%. But you have to make the change there is a beautiful verse in the Quran. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Sadaqallahu al-azim. God does not change what's in you until you want to change it. Mm-hmm. And when you change it. So if you want to make anything, you have to start with yourself to be able to inspire anybody, to be able to see that manifestation. But also you need to visualize things. Because when you visualize things, then you know where you're going, then you know what you need to do. So I need to do 1, 2, 3. I want to climb mountain. I want to lead people to climb. I need to be fit. I need to be very fit. So I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, if I like it or not, to go and do my run and keep fit. So I need to be the example when I'm leading people. It's not about the manifestation where you want to read a book and you think, I can follow this step and do it. No, you want to do it. You have to do it from here. Yeah, it has to start from the heart, because everything connected, like everything starts here. And your gut, because the gut is where you feel, if you see somebody and you fall in love, where do you feel it first? It's here, isn't it? So everything you do in life, if you feel it here, it's right. You bring it here, you believe it 100%, and let the brain make it happen. The brain will make it happen when you have the knowledge, education.
Okay. Did you ever, or when have you been down and out? Like, when has been a time in your life where they talk about the dark night of the soul, or the time when you thought maybe you couldn't go on?
You know what, we're all a human. I mean, there is always going to be something in your life, but, I didn't know if I have it down. I didn't know if I went down No, I always like to look at the bright side of everything, and I always like to deal with everything that because see, I don't have plan B and C and D. I have one single plan, which is plan A, and if it doesn't work, then I'll deal with it. I don't like to say if it doesn't work, I can do this, because I don't. It's just one plan, but there is one things that's really important for me is I relate everything to God. I'm connected to God. So everything that I do, if it doesn't work, I say to myself, you know what? It's not meant to be. I don't want to be crying about it. It's not meant to be. It's not. In 2005, when I didn't climb Everest, I came down and I said, you know what? It's not meant to be. 2007 is not meant to be. When I did it in 2008, I was mature enough and I was able to deal with all these things that's happening after a climb, to be the first and go back and all this attention and stuff. I dealt with it very well. I took it straight away. I spent a little of time and then I went back to universities. I started studying and I went and worked in the restaurant as a part-time. So, you can deal with things, as long, the only things that nobody can deal with is death. When you have somebody who's dear to you in your family, that's something will bring you down. But also I have to go back and say, we all gonna go, but still is gonna affect us. But everything else, as long as as long as you're healthy, that's the most important things. Trust me, it doesn't matter everything in life, as long as you're healthy and you can walk and you can do things and you can think and because you can do anything you want to do, but you need to be healthy.
And you go into refugee camps, and is that not really hard?
I don't see it hard. No, because I see these beautiful kids who are so happy and so bright, and they want to make something. They want to make the change. They want to go on. But I don't feel it because I was there. I've experienced that. And when I experience it, when I see them, they actually in a much better condition like I was. So that's why I'm thinking, well, they are doing well. There is help there. There is education, all this stuff. And I think I tell them, listen, there is always a light in the end of the tunnel. Okay. Just always look at that light, but concentrate in your education.
Okay.
Make sure that is the biggest weapon that you want to take. When you educate it, you can then finish your high school. I finished my high school in 1988. I went back to university in 1998. So 1988 and then 1998. So that's about 20 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 20 years to go back to university. 10 years to go back to university, but because I really wanted to go back, because I knew the value of education. So education is for people, for everyone. But I think for people in the refugee camp, it's more valuable because they don't have the money. So
when you accomplish all this, we're the same age, and it's an interesting age because I have some people around me who are just want to retire. When I go back to Canada, everyone's talking about it. It came upon me before I was ready for it, and I'm like, why are we talking about retirement already? Like, I'm so jazzed.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you have that in your life?
You know what? I put myself, I said, when I'm 60 years old, I want to go and climb K2, you know, and when I'm 70, I want to go back to the South Pole and do the South Pole, and I'm 70. Retiring is not something that, the more, if you keep moving in your life, you're going to live your life to the full. If I'm going to think about, okay, I'm going to save, I'm going to retire, I'm going to sit, well, what am I going to do when I retire? My job is different than any jobs that anybody do. So my job's in the mountain, I take people, I do talks. So maybe it's a bit different, but I saw older people who's in their maybe 70s who sat down. They got so very quickly, they got sick. And people who's 80 years old that I see who's still active, and you see them going in the gym, doing stuff. So you need to keep active, even if you retire.
Yeah.
Try to find what are you passionate about and start it. If you couldn't do it while you're working, do something that you're passionate about, but don't just stop like this and think, I'm not going to do anything.
But you said even keep moving, and that just seems so simple. But when you look at older people and they're moving, they're not, and then you see the people who aren't, and they're limping and it's heavy and it's hard. It's such a simple thing, right? If you just literally keep your body moving.
Yeah, if you start when you're 50s,
Yeah.
we are in our 50s. If you keep doing it, then you come to 70 and 80. But if you start at 80, you're not going to be able to go to the gym or do anything. But
do you ever feel, because a lot of people will say that in their 50s, people slow down. And I can feel that I could, movement-wise. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can feel that in my mind, it's a little bit like, oh, I'm not 40 anymore. I don't know whether I should run. Like, do you ever have any of those thoughts?
well, on October, I'm going to do the 777. So I'm going to run 7 marathon in 7 days in 7 continents.
so you
Okay. So
don't.
every 24 hours, I'm going to run a marathon.
Okay.
So I'll be about 55 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't think, when you're 50, that is the
No.
prime age to
Yeah.
do things. That's the prime age to get yourself, go to the gym, do some weight, look after yourself. Yeah. Look after, listen, I'm up every single day about 5:30. Okay. I'm in bed by 9:30. Okay. Every single day, maybe 10 o'clock in the evening. So I sleep my 8 hours. I wake up. I'm super, energy. I eat, proper food. I don't eat after 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm looking after self now because, when you go in when you go in 60s and 70s and 80s, this will pay off.
Yeah. What have you not done that you want to do that's brewing?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff to do. The more you do stuff, the more there is so much to do. But, I have beautiful 5 children, and I've have a girl as well that they are the most beautiful things in my life, and to see them succeed and see them doing stuff, and I wanted to be that role model for them to keep moving. For them, it's all about sport. My son who's 15 years old, he just had his phone. So not allowed until you're 15 years old. And you have 1 hour a day. You're not allowed TikTok and all this stuff. You're allowed to do something that is going to be, but sport is the most important thing.
And if someone is listening and they're like, I hear you, but I don't know how to do it. Do you have anything to snap them out of it?
Well, everyone can do it. I mean, you want from inside to do it. If you don't have that drive, I mean, I can come to your house every day and take you to the gym and you're not going to go anywhere. You really have to do it. You must have a goal in your life. You need to have this goal. And that's why adventure is amazing. Because when you have a goal, say you want to climb Kilimanjaro next year, you're going to do this. So you are planning, you're climbing, you're going hiking, you're doing stuff to prepare. So have a goal, have a plan, and have a long time plan. And this is where you're going to move.
How does setbacks make you stronger?
It's like climbing. When you climb in Everest, you go to camp 1 and you have to come back to base camp every time. You go to 2, you come back to base camp. You go to 3, you come back to base camp to climatize. So you always come back to assess and say, okay, am I doing this right? What am I doing? Okay, am I going, is it going to make me stronger? 100%. When I didn't climb Everest in 2005, did it make me stronger and more experienced? Yes. 2007, I didn't make it. In 2008, when I went up to the top, I did it in style. I was in the top for 45 minutes. I had an amazing time because I had the experience. So the setback should make you stronger.
Boom. I love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.